Welcome to Australia 24 News. Today's news focus is on the wave of arrests that follow the crackdown in Bangladesh. And I am joined today by my two correspondents, senior reporters, with more on this story in a moment. At least 100 students, including a renowned journalist, was arrested. Also, 5,000 unnamed were prosecuted in 52 cases after the recent crackdown of school students' movement for road safety in Bangladesh. Students were arrested mainly for their participation in the students' movement, for criticizing the government and posting comments and videos of the protests on Facebook and other social media. Condemning the arrests was Human Rights Watch, and they said instead of prosecuting those responsible for unlawfully attacking student protesters demanding road safety, Bangladesh authorities are arresting students and targeting activists and journalists who are highlighting the abuses. And now, with more on this story, we go to Kelly. Kelly?
Among the arrests was a renowned photojournalist, Shahid al-Alam. The 63-year-old photographer spoke to Al Jazeera, criticizing Bangladesh government just before he was kidnapped by plainclothes police and later declared as arrested. In that interview, he claimed Bangladesh police had sought help from armed goons to combat unarmed school children demanding safe roads.
But is this all about road safety, or is there something larger going on here?
Very much larger. This has been going on for a very, very long time. It's an unelected government, so they do not really have a mandate to rule, but they've been clinging on by brute force.
Hours later, in the interview, about 10 p.m. on August 6th, and his Dhaka home was stormed by forces, arriving with at least 15 unmarked vehicles. Calls are now growing for the release of the photojournalist. Amnesty International called for Alam to be immediately and unconditionally released. Omar Warwick, the group's deputy South Asia director, said his arrest marks a dangerous escalation of a crackdown by the government that has seen the police and vigilantes unleash violence against student protesters. Ron, what does the UN think about this crackdown?
The United Nations and the U.S. government voiced concerns about the crackdown, which rights groups say is part of a wave of repression across Bangladesh. Furthermore, various citizen groups and community organizations have started to raise their concern. In Australia, protests by Sydney University students and the Sydney Press and Media Council attracted mass attention.
The students began protesting the poor regulation and corruption of the transport sector, but were violently attacked by police. Gangs of armed thugs were allowed by police to attack the students with machetes and other weapons, and sexually harass female students. More than 100 students have been injured. Schools have been closed and university campuses have been under siege by police. Reporters and photographers covering the protests have been attacked, and the award-winning photographer Shahid al-Alam, 63 years old, has been arrested after he gave an interview to Al Jazeera. We call on the Bangladeshi government to immediately stop its repression of the student protests, stop allowing and encouraging criminal gangs to attack the students, end its siege of university campuses, and to release Shahid al-Alam and all student protesters who have been arrested. Long live student resistance. Long live solidarity. Together we are strong.
5 renowned intellectuals and authors, Arundhati Roy, Eve Ensler, Naomi Klein, Noam Chomsky, and Vijay Prashad, have also jointly issued a statement demanding immediate release of Alam. The Committee to Protect Journalists, or CPJ, has also condemned this arrest and torture while in custody. About 40 journalists from different news outlets have been assaulted while documenting the attack of police and pro-government goons on schoolchildren. The report says armed men, apparently loyal to the government, attacked demonstrators, media representatives, and vehicles, including one carrying the U.S. ambassador into the country. Some of the journalists were severely injured and hospitalized. In the recent past in Bangladesh, scores of journalists and citizens have been arrested or assaulted. The human rights groups say this is draconian and oppressive. In another recent incident, Chhatra League, a pro-government organization, attacked an editor of a national daily. The editor, Mahmouda Rahman was injured in a courthouse square. CPJ's Deputy Executive Director Robert Mahoney said the attack is illustrative of the environment in which journalists critical of the Sheikh Hasina government struggle to do their work. And now, back to Pete.
With the continuous wave of arrests, abduction, and torture while in police custody, students are living in fear and trauma. UNB reported of a student at Dhaka University allegedly committed suicide on Wednesday night after a Facebook post criticizing the government and education systems in Bangladesh. He wrote in his post, "Where the system is corrupted, you can't have the minimum right to say anything." He also added, "I want freedom as a Bangladeshi, even if it kills me for the reason." The present situation of Bangladesh is like that if anyone speaks out against the corruption of the government, the ruling party stopping them either by arresting or by enforced disappearances.